Hi, it's Clark on Temptress. A bit ago, I did a video about the orca problem. The fact that orcas, killer whales, are attacking and sinking sailing vessels. The video was quite popular. It got a lot of discussion going. I've read all the comments, of course. And in this video, I'd like to discuss what you all have said about it. I'd like to go in a little more detail of what I think should happen. And at the end, I'm going to be begging someone that's on station in Europe, Portugal and Spain, I guess, to actually do this. And it's going to be practical. It could be even slightly profitable. And I think this has a hope of teaching the whales to stop doing this activity. Let's start by talking about the problem. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you already know what's going on, but in case you haven't heard about it, orcas, killer whales, are pummeling sailing vessels. They're ramming them and biting their rudders and fins and ripping them off and causing the boat to, well, get thrown around a lot and to take on water and to the point where they sink. So boats have been sunk by killer whales. So far, I understand no humans have died, but that's only a matter of time, especially when the facts come out. This started with a pod of whales doing this, probably for fun. Remember, this is a species that's quite smart, and they have a history of wearing dead salmon on their heads like hats. They did it for several years, and then it went out of fashion. But they come up with trends. They come up with things to do that give them, in my opinion, entertainment. And I think that playing with sailboats is entertaining for them. Now, if you believe it's because humans are evil and they're eating their fish and whatever, you're allowed to believe all that. The short of it is they are attacking boats, and we would like them to stop attacking boats. We'd like them to stop attacking boats without killing the whales that are offending. So this video is going to be discussing ways to change their behavior. Let's go to what happens if we don't change their behavior. I believe these whales are going to end up dying. They're going to be shot. There was an argument, you can't possibly shoot these whales, that would be illegal. Well, if you and your family are in a sailboat and about to sink because a whale is attacking you and there's whales all around you and you have a weapon, I think very likely the most whale-hugging person of all of you will shoot the whale, will try to get the whale to stop attacking you. Laws be damned, you may be dying. Your kids may be dying. Your wife may be dying. Your crew, whoever's on the boat may die. Someone said, well, someone did shoot a whale and they're in jail now. Well, that just proves that someone will shoot a whale. So let's do something so the whales don't need to be shot. And then finally, I say, for the one whale that was shot that we found out about and he was prosecuted, I bet you there's 10 guys that have shot a whale that just are smart enough to not tell anybody about it. So whales are getting shot or shot at, and let's stop that. So we need to change their behavior. If you don't agree with we need to change the behavior, if you're one of the people who have commented that basically whales are little gods of the sea and they can do no wrong, well, go watch another video, because we do have to share the ocean. We are humans, and nothing is going to stop people from using the ocean. Let's go into constructive ideas that have been put up. There's basically two camps of those, I believe. Things that could protect the boat in question and things that can change behavior. Both of these could work. If I didn't have an idea that I thought would also change behavior, I would definitely jump and grab something from column A here, because I would want to protect my boat. The suggestions I've heard that are in the comments are color, changing the color or pattern of the bottom of the boat. I really don't think that's going to have any effect. And the only way you could really do that would be to haul the boat out and repaint it, which is very expensive, and it's just not practical and people won't do it. Smells. Again, people have been suggesting somehow magically we're going to come up with a bottom paint that has a different smell that they don't like. I don't know how I would test for that. I have no clue. But again, you're going to have to haul the boat out of the water. It's just not practical. And then sound. A lot of people have been recommending these pingers. Now, pingers are a device I looked up. They're working well for dolphins to keep dolphins from being bycatch in big nets that are catching fish. And I think how they work is they're not scaring the dolphins away necessarily or annoying them with a pitch. They're just saying out there, dolphin, we're fishing here. And how it would work from an individual group of dolphins is the dolphins go in and they hear the pinger. They don't know what it means, but they hear it and they see all the fish or smell or echolocate all the fish. And they all go in and get a couple fish, but like their friend Jim doesn't get out of the net and dies. And later on, Jim's body's floating in the ocean. And they go, oh, it's really dangerous to fish where the pingers are. So when we hear the pingers, let's go fish someplace else. And I think that's why it's working. I don't think that works for the whales. If anything, having a pinger on the side of your boat is saying, hey, there's a fun toy to play with here. There's no downside from the pinger for the whale. So why would they learn that this is a thing? And if it is in the echolocation range that causes discomfort or whatever, those things have been built for dolphins. Dolphins are smaller. I'm sure the frequency is different. That's just physics. So I don't think the pinger is the way to go at all. On top of everything else in the discussion, one person said, had a pinger on my boat, whales came and messed with me anyway. Well, that's one. It's not proof, but boy, it sure sounds like proof to me. I wouldn't go pingers. There's another sound thing that's been, well, there's a lot of sound things that are discussed. Let's play rock and roll music. Let's play heavy metal because they really won't like that. I don't know. That just sounds like it's fun to type. If anything, if there is a signal that means the boat's there, that probably just tells them come and play with the boat eventually. One that came up that I never thought of and I think is clever as hell is based on the idea that these whales have bumped into, for whatever purposes, boats in the past that had a spinning propeller. And the propeller bit them and it hurt. And they didn't want to do that again. And they've learned, if I can hear that noise of a spinning propeller, I don't want to go near the boat, which could be why they're attacking sailboats and not, commercial fishing boats and such. Somebody had a clever idea of taking an outboard motor propeller on a bearing and a little piece of the same V metal that I'm talking about and strapping it kind of the same way I'm talking onto the rudder so that as the boat sails, it spins around and it's going to make propeller type sounds. And that tells the orca, hey, don't go there. You might get bit by that propeller. It's actually a great idea. The downside of that idea, again, is it teaches the orca not to attack that boat, but not teach them to change the behavior. So I would like to concentrate on the ones that I think can change the behavior. But I think that's cool. And if I had one of those available to me, I might dive down and put it on my boat. If I was going through that area and I didn't have that device, I think I would certainly start my engine, put my boat in gear, let it spin along at low RPM, not really pushing the boat much, sail, putting up with the engine noise until I get through the area that's known to be high attack zone. If nothing else, and you're going through that area, do that. What do you got to lose? 10 gallons of diesel fuel? This sounds like a no-brainer. Try it. Now I want to talk about what I think is useful for keeping them, to re-educate, to change the behavior of the cetaceans. Well, there's been talk about various sound things, air horns, with or without PVC pipe, to conduct the sound down, speakers, underwater speakers, blasting various different kinds of music and sounds. I just don't see it working, like I mentioned before. I just see it saying, hey, there's something to play with over here. I think the only thing that's going to really work is what we do with cows. We put a fence around the cows. We electrify that fence, though electricity won't work underwater, too conductive. And we put spikes on that fence, barbed wire, we call it. And the cows very early on brush up against the wire, either seeing what's across the road or maybe reaching for some grass, and they feel the discomfort of being poked. and they say, ow, I don't want to do that again. Like for the rest of their life, you see that the herd of cattle just doesn't mess with the fence. We electrify our fences, of course, and that's equipment that fails all the time. And it can be failed for months, and the cows don't know it's failed, so they don't go near it. Also, the barbed wire is still there. That's passive, and that works. I don't consider that abuse to the cows. If anything, it's safety for the cows. Cows aren't particularly bright. They will just walk in the road. They will, of course, get hit by a car, which is going to really mess up the car and really mess up the cow. There's other mischief they can get up to. They can walk down the side of a cliff and get trapped somewhere in a valley. Just all kinds of things. We've kind of bred all the smarts out of dairy cows, so we need to take care of them, and we do that with barbed wire. So barbed wire, in my opinion, is a loving thing we do to the cows. And I'm suggesting we barb up these boats when they're going through this area. So I'm suggesting, and I will be happy to do engineering drawings and whatever's necessary for my idea, but we come up with a way of clamping on some barbs. Now, if you have a fin rudder, they would probably be on the front and the back. And if you have a skeg hung rudder, you could put it on the front of the skeg and on the rudder. And if you have a full keel, of course, just on the back edge of the rudder, I think will be plenty. This system can be engineered such that it really can't pick up any seaweed that goes by, just by making the spikes either trail back a bit from perpendicular, or just knowing, oh, I picked up some weed. Turn your wheel lock to lock, that will dump the weed off, and it's gone. Drag is like a big issue I hear about. I've been sailing a long time. Having barnacles on your entire boat slows your boat down. That's a lot of barnacles. I know they're small. But if you want to know what the drag is going to be, grab something like a broom handle while you're sailing that is sort of the size of the spike. Shove it in the water the length of the spike. Feel how much drag that is. Maybe a pound, not even. Multiply that by the number of spikes, and that's going to be the total drag on the boat. It's going to mean maybe a half a knot of difference. I'd eat that half a knot to be in this situation where I'm protected and training the cetaceans to not attack boats. So we got some spikes down there. We're actually kind of begging them to come and attack us. I mean, not individually. I hope that I'm not the one teaching them a lesson. But somebody, is going to be the boat. So we need to get it on most of the boats or many of the boats that are making the transit. They're going to come up. They're going to brush against it, say, ow, maybe go away. They're going to, and I guess they brush and bump first anyway. Then they're going to maybe get to the point where they bite it and shake it and do what they need to rip the rudder off the boat. And when they get to that point, they're certainly going to stop because that's going to be quite painful. But it's under the whale's complete control whether they have pain or not. And given that, I don't see that anybody putting these spikes on their boat is doing anything but love for these whales. Another idea that came up that could kind of fit into this would be some kind of a chemical attack. You could add this on. I don't think it's a good idea. You could run a tube down probably right to this spike equipment. And while the whale is in the area, you could pump something through that tube that would affect the whale. But we're not talking about fish here. We're not talking about something that's breathing and running chemistry past their sensitive gills. If you were in the water, holding your breath, just like the whales have to, and you were doing something and someone released, a bunch of bleach, you probably wouldn't even know it happened. There's going to be a huge amount of dilution, and you're not really bringing it in. So I think we should avoid the idea of bleach and pepper sprays and all of these kind of things, partly because I don't think they're going to be effective, and partly because it's just going to give the environmentalists a way to scream and yell and say we're polluting the ocean. So let's stick with something that doesn't harm anything that isn't attacking the target. Now, one of the things that came in a comment that I don't think this came in on a comment. I think this came in on an email to me. It's a brilliant idea. In Europe, in the area, this guy's in the area, he said, we've got a lot of derelict boats. I'm in Florida. We got loads of derelict boats. And I can tell you exactly what the situation is with these boats. Some old guy owns them. He doesn't want to go through the hassle of selling it. He doesn't really want it. He knows he's never going to sail it again. It's just something that is negative to him when you get right down to it. If you find him and you offer him a pittance of money, he's likely to say, yeah. And if you offer him that pittance of money and say, and we're going to use your boat to save whales, he'll say, hell yeah, you can have it for free, probably. So someone rounds up a bunch of these derelict boats. Now, these boats will be out of the anchorages now. That'll free up space for other boats that are actually being used. This will be a net positive effect for the yachting community. So these donated or cheaply sold boats are going to get outfit with the spikes. Someone will tow them out right into the whale area where the whales are doing their mischief and let them float for a few days, basically putting toys out for the whales to play with, except these are negative reinforcement toys. And this would be great if they just attacked these and nothing else and said, this isn't fun anymore. That could be end of story. But it probably won't. That's just some more negative reinforcement. And even if it did work, I wouldn't know it worked. So what I would want to do is when I'm sailing down the coast and I get to the whale danger area, I would like the opportunity to pull into a civilization someplace and be able to buy cheaply or rent, with a little payment, something that I can have a diver put on my boat. I sail through the area with my spikes. When I get past the whale area, I take them off and I return them, likely to another port that has a similar sister organization, and they don't have to transport these. They just make them available for a boat going in the other direction. And I think that could really work. What people might be missing is my idea about what they should be. These should be dirt cheap. There's no reason for them to be fancy. Seriously, get a piece of what's called angle iron, which is just a piece of steel that's at a 90-degree angle. And a fab shop can get this, and a fab shop is going to have this stuff lying around as scrap and things they've cut up off. This can all be made from scrap. Beat on it a little bit and put it in a press and bend it a little sharper so that it fits more nicely over the back edge of a rudder. Drill some holes in it, weld some rebar in it, use an angle grinder, make the rebar sharp. That's it. Oh, drill some holes so you can strap it to get on. And that's it. Now, if you want to get extra fancy, and you should, because this is like a no-brainer thing, spray it with some spray paint. Painted steel underwater is going to last so long. It's going to outlast this program. But remember, it's not living underwater. It literally will be put on a boat. A month later, it'll be taken off the boat, given back to the group that's doing this work. And all you really do is hose it down with a garden hose, get salt off it, put it in storage. If it looks like the paint's particularly messy, squirt, squirt, squirt. That's it. Remember, it doesn't have to look good. It doesn't have to last forever. It should be cheap like dirt so that this program costs nothing and it works. They could strap on with, I said turnbuckles and whatever. The more I think about it, I think ratchet straps and flat nylon is probably the best. It'll go through the gap between the full keel and the rudder, or the skeg and the rudder. It's easy to put on underwater. You can get it nice and tight, pretty low drag once it's folded up. Yeah, it's going to corrode real bad. You might have to replace them every year. But again, this is something that you could buy at Costco, a whole bag of them for nothing. So that's my idea. Please, someone do this. Already what's happened is a lot of people said, I'll help out. I want, to get involved. And I have the emails. I have them in a special folder. If someone says, hey, it doesn't sound like a good idea, I want to run this. You tell me that in an email to sailingtemptress@gmail.com, and I will give you that pile of emails, because everybody's already, in sending me an email, you're agreeing that I can give out your email, and then you can contact these people and put something together, get it going. Let's give it a shot. Sitting around and watching the problem grow, it's not helping us, and it's not helping the whales. Anyway, that's my thought on the subject. I'm absolutely happy to help as much as I can here from USA, Florida, which means drawing pictures and giving ideas. But if you want to actually go to a fab shop, invest literally a couple $100 to get a group of these things, make them available for sailors, probably making more than your couple $100 back right there, And managing this pretty simple to manage program, yay. You probably should look into the local laws because, Europe, you got a lot of laws over there. But I'm also thinking this might be definitely in the realm of better to beg forgiveness than to ask permission. I don't think we're actively attacking the whales in any way, and it's up to the whale to get themselves hurt. So I say go for it. Bye from Clark on Temptress.